Right friends, welcome back to newspaper editorials discussion. And yesterday I have thrown some idea and several students responded, and from May 1st onwards I am going to modify it in the best format, and I will announce it on Saturday to all of you, and from Monday onwards you will have the one of the best formats because of our experience during the past 2 years in dealing with current affairs. And from Monday onwards, that means May 1st onwards, this editorial discussion will take altogether new dimension, and we would like to run it in the most efficient format. And the first one for today, the best led plans, Niti Aayog's shift away from 5-year plans requires more substance. Right here, all of you are familiar with Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog came into existence in the year 2015 from January 1, and chairperson is acting as premier think tank of Government of India, basically to give directional and policy inputs, and it replaced 65-year-old planning commission and is an executive body. We discussed about all these things, and if you look at Niti Aayog, basically 2-3 things you should not forget. One is cooperative federalism, second one is think tank of the government, then bottom up approach and formulate policies at village level and scale them up. And Niti Aayog, national institution for transforming India, right? And news report, this same thing is being repeated, I need not explain you. Basically it is coming up with, actually after the 5-year plans, 5-year plans came to an end on March 31, 2017, and now Niti Aayog is going to have this 15-year-long perspective plan, this 15-year-long perspective plan, and at the same time 7-year strategy, 3-year action plan. So, 15-year perspective plan, 7-year strategy and 3-year action plan. And the governing council, which include the Prime Minister and the Chief Ministers, met recently, and one draft action agenda was handed over with 300 specific points and important points of New India agenda. New India agenda, important points are housing for all with the toilets. Government has circulated this important points of New India agenda, housing for all with the toilets, universal LPG power and digital connections, universal LPG power and digital connections, access to a personal vehicle, air conditioner and white goods for nearly all, and at the same time fully literate population with universal health care. So, these 4 are important points of New India agenda, and what needs to be done here. If you examine critically the working of Niti Aayog, 15-year perspective plan must include goals and strategies to be adopted, and the government must start working from 15-year perspective plan. 15-year perspective plan must be formulated and government should work from that. Then for the past 2 years and 4 months, the success story of cooperative federalism is basically GST, and similar efforts must be made to overhaul sectors like education, health and skill development in a mission mode. The next point is infrastructure spending is one area, and the Prime Minister called upon the states to enhance infrastructure spending, but most of the states are not in a position to do so, and centre should push aggressively to enhance infrastructure spending. The next one is Bharatmala. Bharatmala is basically to provide world class infrastructure by subsuming NHDP and at the same time economic corridors. important economic corridors are going to be developed under Bharatmala, and this must be implemented in a mission mode, and government knows very well that the 12th plan ends on 31st March. Why there is not much action for the past 2 years with regard to 15-year perspective plan is not understood. Here one important point is, though the intentions of Niti Aayog are good, but at ground level they must be reflected fast, or you can say at a faster pace, right. And now we are going to deliberate on the elections in France. There are 2 articles pertaining to the elections in France, and please look into this. 2 traditional parties were eliminated. One is Republican Party. Republican Party got 20%, it got eliminated, and the other Socialist Party, it got around 6%, it also got eliminated. And here 2 persons, because this French election process is 2 stage. In the first stage, if none of them got more than 50%, then the election process will go to the second stage. And in the second stage, the top 2 candidates, the top 2 contenders will go to the second round. And now the second round is going to be held on 7th May, right. So, here Emmanuel Macron as well as Marine Le Pen. Why this election is so important? Because of the reason future of European Union depends on the election result in France, and Emmanuel Macron, he is for strengthening European Union, and his policies basically to increase the ties with European Union and the Eurozone, and higher tariffs to protect European industry. So, these are basically the policies of Emmanuel Macron, but if Marine Le Pen wins, then the future of European Union, future of Eurozone, future of Schengen, all these will be in doubt. So, here one important aspect is who will win. At present 60% say that he is on way to win, 40% say she is going to get only 40% of the votes, but who knows. The fundamental point is Brexit occurred because of dissatisfaction among the people of the hinterland. At the same time, Donald Trump victory occurred because of the pent up anger among the hinterland people. So, these 2 things happened. One is Brexit, the second one is Donald Trump victory, and the third issue now is Marine Le Pen. If Marine Le Pen wins, it is going to have the future of European Union at stake, or you can say the European Union in this form may not remain. So, many changes will take place if Marine Le Pen wins. So, I have given here promises by Emmanuel Macron, you can go through them. Basically, he is for public investment to cover job training, shift to renewable energy, basically to strengthen the economy. But Marine Le Pen, if you see, automatic expulsion of illegal immigrants, basically anti-immigration policies will come into the fore if she wins, and she want to reduce immigration from 2 lakh to just 10,000. She want to abandon the euro and coming back to franc, and at the same time renegotiate France's EU membership, and she will go for referendum on leaving European Union and the Eurozone, right. So, what is going to happen only May 7th, we have to wait. Next one is the climate fight is global. Here one important aspect is how a country can come out of international treaty so easily. How a country can come out of international treaty so easily. Now, Donald Trump says that he will come out of Paris Treaty, and look at the report. climate change in fact in recent times is causing lot of panic across the world. You see, there are several severe droughts in many parts of the world, including Bolivia and several regions of sub-Saharan Africa. Then scorched lands have led to dying livestock. Livestock is dying at several places, and one of the worst droughts we are seeing in Tamil Nadu in our country. And recent extreme events such as wildfires, droughts, severe heat waves and cyclones in other places have a clear signature of a changed climate. So, if you look at the United States of America, USA is still the world's second largest annual emitter of greenhouse gases. And if you look at the per capita, in per capita greenhouse gas emissions, USA is probably number 1, and if you look at the total quantity, China is number 1, second is United States of America, and it has generated, if you look at the release of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, anthropogenic. What is the meaning of anthropogenic? Anthropogenic means it is basically anthropogenic means because of human activity. So, because of human activity across the world, you see, since 1850 more than a quarter of total greenhouse gases released into the atmosphere, more than a quarter generated by United States of America. The basic point here is Donald Trump's actions are in repudiation of the policies formulated by former US President Barack Obama. Then look into this, Donald Trump and actions in USA. Here the Obama administration brought the Clean Power Plan. Obama is known for 2-3 important aspects. One is Obamacare, second one is Clean Power Plan. Clean Power Plan is basically to tackle climate change. So, Obama brought this Clean Power Plan. What is the aim of Clean Power Plan? Clean Power Plan aim is basically reducing power sector's carbon dioxide emissions by about a third below the 2005 levels by 2030. So, here power sector's carbon dioxide emissions must be reduced by about a third below 2005 levels by 2030. How is it possible? It is possible because of 3 ways. Reducing the greenhouse gas emissions is possible 3 ways. One is switch over to renewables, this is first thing. Second one is reduce the demand. Third one is increase the power plant efficiencies. With these 3 aspects, the greenhouse gas emissions, basically carbon dioxide emissions, can be reduced to by about a third below 2005 levels by 2030. Then Donald Trump's administration slashed now. This is all the good work done by Barack Obama. Good work done by Barack Obama. Now what Donald Trump is doing? Donald Trump now slashed research budgets for climate change and directed federal agencies to cancel or amend policies that might interfere with domestic energy production. And as I have given here, after the Clean Power Plan by Obama, over half of the US states and number of companies that opposed Clean Power Plan went to the court. So, here in the climate change paradigm, the contribution of developed countries is very important, because they are responsible for spoiling our environment. They cannot sit idle. They are responsible for spoiling the environment, and the population of USA at present is around 32 crores. But if you look at it from 1850, it is responsible for release of 1/4 of total greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. So, here 2007 also US Supreme Court ruled to regulate carbon dioxide, and at the same time Environmental Protection Agency finding in 2009 said that greenhouse gases threaten the public health and welfare of current and future generations. So, going by the present attitude of Donald Trump, it appears that the United States of America is no longer interested in curbing greenhouse gases to stabilize the climate, and also it is not keen to meet its Paris commitments. Now, the biggest question is unanswered questions. Can anyone come out like this from the treaty? If India comes out of Paris Treaty, then do the developed countries keep silent? Immediately developed countries will come up with so many sanctions. But the fundamental point here is why all the countries are keeping silent when Donald Trump is stating that he will come out of Paris Pact. So here there are several unanswered questions. The first and the foremost is how can a country can backtrack from international treaties so easily? How can a country can backtrack from international treaties so easily? If such type of withdrawal is done by a country like India, can the developed world remain silent? Now Donald Trump says that he is not going to bother about World Trade Organization. Why the world is silent? So these are the questions which we don't have easy answers. The second point is, if an international treaty can be vitiated like this, if an international treaty, that too important treaty of climate change, can be vitiated like this, then where is the end and what is the sanctity of such treaties? Then the Paris Treaty is not a top-down approach. Another important aspect is there is a difference between Paris Treaty and other treaties. Paris Treaty is not like other treaties. Other treaties were somewhat imposed on the countries. Most of the treaties were imposed on the countries, but the Paris Treaty came up with nationally determined contributions or NDCs. The countries themselves identified how much we can control greenhouse gas emissions. That's why they are known as nationally determined contributions. So Paris Treaty is not a top-down approach, but it is based on the commitments given by the countries in the form of nationally determined contributions, and hence implementation by each country depends on the willpower of the countries. So if United States of America do like this, then tomorrow some other country may also follow United States of America. Then where is the end? What is the sanctity of other international treaties? And United States of America violates trade laws. Then what is the sanctity of WTO? Right? So these are the questions which is very difficult to answer. Global agreements, basically global agreements need support, not only support, pressure from various actors within and across countries. Global agreements require pressure and support from various actors, and here there may be philanthropists like Tata Trusts, there may be Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation like charitable organizations, at the same time scientists, policy think tanks, then philanthropists and various communities. So these basically global agreements must have the pressure from these organizations. So under these circumstances, what will happen to the low carbon future? When Donald Trump says that he is not bothering about climate change, what will happen to the low carbon future? This is the $1 million question, right? So let us leave this discussion here. And when Donald Trump is saying that he is not bothered about trade agreements, he is not bothered about climate plan, then who is there to question Donald Trump? Right? Next one, the appeasement of none. This is written by the spokesperson of a political party. I am not going into political aspects. I have taken some sort of information from this article. What exactly is meant by minorities in the country and what are the constitutional provisions? Those aspects I have taken so as to get some information so as to throw some light on this minorities aspect. What do you understand by minority status? Here article 29, I have taken from the article, this entire information I have taken from the article, and I have taken only the information basically which is useful for you from examination perspective. I am not going into majoritarian view or minoritarian, because one government is basically alleged to have doing appeasing majority population, and other government is having allegations of appeasing minority population. So, I am not going into those two theories, I am only concentrated on what exactly the meaning of minorities and what do you understand by minorities. Here article 29 says, article 29(1), protection of interests of minorities, any section of the citizens residing in the territory of India or any part thereof having a distinct language, script or culture shall have the right to conserve their culture or language. So, language, script, culture, every community, every religion must have the right to conserve their culture, language. At the same time, right of minorities to establish and administer educational institutions comes from article 30. One is protecting the interests of culture, then at the same time language, script. At the same time article 30 says that it is the right of the minorities to establish and administer educational institutions, right. Then if you look at further aspects, article 29 and 30, as I have told you just now, they guarantee certain rights to minorities for protection of their culture, script and languages, and the constitution has not defined or identified religious or linguistic minorities. Constitution itself has not defined or identified religious or linguistic minorities. And the question of who will determine which group is a minority, the question of who will determine which group is in minority came to the focus and settled by the Supreme Court in TMA Pai Foundation versus State of Karnataka. The Supreme Court held that the unit for the purpose of determining the definition of minority would be the state but not the whole of India. So, the unity is a state for deciding about the minority. So, if you take a state like Jammu and Kashmir, Hindus will become minority, and if you take state like Punjab, Hindus will become minority, and if you take a state like Telangana, then Muslims will become minority. So, like that it is to be decided by the state, right. So, Supreme Court held that the unit for the purpose of determining the definition of minority would be the state, but not the here would be the state, not the whole of India. That means the state government has been given liberty to determine which community is minority in their respective states. And subsequently, Minorities Commission was set up. Minorities Commission was set up, and it was envisaged to ensure minorities able to enjoy safeguards provided to them in the constitution and various central and state laws. Subsequently, this National Commission for Minorities Act was passed in 1992 and it got statutory status, and then it was defined minority as a community notified as such by the central government using the power. The central government through Gazette notification in 1993 notified 5 minorities. Initially, central government defined 5 minorities. One is Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists and Zoroastrians or Parsis. So, these 5 are declared as minorities as per the Act. Subsequently, in 2014, Jains were included in the minorities. So, as on date, if you look at the central government perspective, there are 6 minority communities. One is Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists, Zoroastrians, then Jains. So, these 6 are designated as minorities by the central government as per Gazette notifications of 1993 and 2014, and state governments have got the liberty to declare a community as minority in that particular state, right. So, this is as per various statutory laws as well as constitution laws. In fact, the constitution has not identified, has not defined in fact, and this religious and linguistic minorities. Article 29 and 30 gives rights to the minorities, and minorities are being decided by the center at the central level, and each state has got liberty to declare particular community as minority in their state, right. So, this is all about various provisions pertaining to minorities, and the goal is basically to go beyond minority majority binary. Here you should not see in minority majority binary, and to achieve this all our policies must move beyond either majoritarianism or minoritarianism. In fact, majoritarianism is not good. At the same time, minoritarianism is also not good. We have to go much beyond this. Basically, we have to think about secular fabric of the country, right. So, with this, let us conclude today's newspaper editorial discussion. Have a nice day. Thank you.